I was really looking forward to watching The Taming of the Shrew, not because I care for The Taming of the Shrew, but because I'm starting to explore the films of Mary Pickford, and I'm pleased to say that this was actually really enjoyable. This version was released in 1929. It's directed by Sam Taylor, written by Taylor, based, of course, on the play by Shakespeare, with a cast including Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, which in itself is very exciting to have husband and wife team together. And I haven't corroborated this, but according to Wikipedia, and I will quote this, according to biographer Geoffrey Vance, as quoted on Wikipedia, Taming of the Shrew has never received the recognition it deserves as the first talking film of a Shakespeare play. As I said, I haven't fact-checked that, but if that's true, and if anybody can confirm, please do. If this is the first Shakespeare talkie, feature-length Shakespeare talkie, that's pretty exciting. The play itself, I had read, I don't think quite as long ago as 2 decades, but certainly we're getting close to that. Definitely when I was still at school. And I didn't remember it very much. So I can't say how faithful this is to Shakespeare's play. If anybody is a fan of the play, please feel free to let me know. I'm judging this purely based on the film because it's been too long since I read it that I cannot say whether or not it's accurate. The story itself is really great though. Hortensio wants to marry Bianca, but this can't happen until Baptista's eldest daughter, Cawthorn, is married. And that's not going to be an easy thing to achieve. I was genuinely keen to see what would happen. Would Cawthorn get married? Would Bianca end up getting married? Would it happen in that order? I have no recollection of the play itself, and that's one of the great things about having a terrible memory, is that I can have the element of surprise a little bit more because I cannot remember anything. And that worked really well, as I really thoroughly enjoyed the process of finding out. That being said, the specifics of the narrative as it developed were not that interesting. But I still felt engaged to get to the conclusion, to find out what would happen, because I loved the character of Cawthorn. Mary Pickford's performance was absolutely sensational. And this is, I believe, the first thing I've seen her in. I've seen interviews and other appearances, but in terms of actually seeing her perform, I think this is my introduction, and her performance was amazing. The costumes looked great. The set designs looked really good. Mostly it felt like a film set, though occasionally it felt like it was staged a little bit more like a stage play, especially the way in which they were interacting with the environment and with some of the camera angles. It did feel like, occasionally it felt like I was watching a taping of a stage play. Not a criticism, just an observation, and certainly for films of this time, that's not that unique either. Really, really strong performances, and in general, it has made me want to go and read the play. I'm not the biggest fan of Shakespeare. I know I shouldn't say that, especially as a writer. I'm supposed to worship Shakespeare. I worship what he's done for literature, but not necessarily his work itself. There are some Shakespeare plays I love. There are some that I think are overhyped. But either way, it has made me want to go and read this, so I might actually do this, though I do have other things to prioritise reading first. As I said, though, I do feel free to let me know how it compares, judging it purely on the film and not as an adaptation, but just as a film on its own. It's a great story. The pacing is okay. The key plot points, as I said, are not that interesting, but the overarching concept I did find to be fascinating. Great character writing, wonderful performances, visually pretty decent. I'd say the 1929 Taming of the Shrew is a good film, and I'm happy to recommend it.